Part B, more HTML elements. We need to learn, relatively more important HTML elements. Then we can start to do our first project. So I need to use probably 2 more classes. This class, next one, to give you, to cover those relatively important elements. All right, but I look at the time we used for last part A of module 2. I used much more time than our required 75 minutes. So I add 3 videos, the minutes together. I found I used 25 more minutes than required. 25 minutes, that's a lot. So I will do this. So that 25 minutes still will leave part A, but we will take that 25 minutes, count it, that 25 minutes, because that's the extra part, more than 75 minutes, the extra part. I count that 25 minutes to part B minutes. When I do the calculation, I count that as part B minutes. Okay? So now we used the 25 minutes. The total 75, we do subtraction. The remaining part, we have only 50 minutes. All right. So 50 minutes. This video is a long one. This is a long one. If this one I already used 50 minutes, then only this one. Otherwise, if we still have some time, then I will add a little more, another video. All right, so let's start. Part B.1, Basic HTML Elements, Part 2. The first element I want to talk about. First, let me explain the concept. HTML block and inline elements. There are 2 types of elements in HTML. One called block elements, another inline elements. Because these 2 types have different behaviors. So we need to understand these 2 types. Then when we do the coding, we need to consider the different behaviors for these 2 different types. The first one, inline elements. That's relatively easy. Inline elements, we understand meaning inline. So when you have a text flow, right? Line by line, so that's the flow. Okay? Then you insert an inline element. Inline, okay? The place you insert, it has a natural location, so the element will appear right there. That's the inline element. Very natural, the meaning. Okay? An inline element does not start on a new line. So you put the element right place. Do not start a new line to display that element. Display it right at that spot. And it only takes up as much width as necessary. The browser will determine how much space it needs to take. Certain amount of space. Just take that much. All right. Examples. The 2 elements we learned, all inline elements. IMG, the image, tag, a tag, hyperlink. Inline. So that's what we expected. So inline, we insert an image right here, right at this place. So we do not need to start a new line to insert an image. Sometimes we want that image appear at that particular location. Similarly, for the hyperlink, we want to do that. Okay? Hyperlink, we want the hyperlink merged with the text around it. So we don't want to break the text, change the structure of the text. That's not good. Yeah. So here you can see we need inline elements. Yeah. But the block elements also useful. Yeah. There are some situations we need to use the block elements. Okay. So what's that? Block element always starts on a new line. Okay. So when you put a block element, wherever you put, when the browser renders the page, that element always starts at a new line. New line. Okay? Very beginning of the new line, display that element. Okay? And then the width takes up the full width available, stretches out to the left and the right as far as it can. Okay? The whole row, that block, the whole, the width from leftmost boundary to the rightmost boundary, the whole portion is occupied. Yeah. So that's for the block element. So you can see the behavior is quite different. So when you know that kind of behavior difference, so when you do the coding, so you will know the right way to do it. Okay, all right. Now, example, there is a very useful element, commonly used element. Later, when we learn the CSS, we will use this element a lot. We need to arrange our page design, the elements. We will use many div elements. That one is a block element. Block. Div element. Yes. All right. Next topic. Absolute URLs versus relative URLs. Yeah. So I mentioned in a previous video, I need to talk about this topic. Okay. Two different types of URLs. Yeah. In this hyperlink case, now let us discuss the URL part. Yeah. First, absolute URLs. Under what situation we need to use the absolute URLs? This situation. The first, I give you, the target document is in a different server. Yep, not the current server, a different server. Okay, so you need to use a different domain name to reach that server. Okay. The second, the target document is in a different web application, but in the same server. Although in the same server, we know in the same server you can run several applications, right? The servlet, yeah. You can run many web applications. Yeah. All right, so now in the current web application, we want to get a resource from a different web application in the same server. In that situation, we need to use absolute URLs, not relative. So what's the absolute? The one from beginning to end. We need to provide the detailed path from beginning to end. That's the absolute. All right, so let's see this example. The absolute, you want to point out some resource. From the beginning, you start with a domain name, the server location. The server location, okay? After that, full path of your resource, full path. It could be, a lot of segments. Yep. So, path name / another path name / whatever it is, you put there. Okay. So this we call This is absolute URL. All right. Relative. Next, let's look at the relative URLs. Sometimes we have a better way than the absolute URLs. Although you can always use absolute URLs, right? Any resource you can use absolute URLs. But that may not be the best way. In some of the situations, relative URLs better, simpler, easier to use than the absolute URLs. All right. This situation, the target document is in the same web application. Same web application. So definitely must be in the same server. Okay, same server and same web application. Okay, now you have a simpler way to refer to it. All right, so but there are two possibilities. One, in the same directory. Even in the same web application, you may use different directories, right? Yeah. So the two documents are in the same directory. The current document and the document to be referenced, they are in the same directory, then that's the easiest. You just do this, okay? Yeah. So you do not start with slash. Yeah. If you do not start with if you start with slash, no. You'll start from a different place. So later I will talk about that. Never start with a slash, okay? Yeah. It's dangerous. Yeah. All right, just put the file name there. The file name of the document you want to refer to. Yeah. Just put there, same directory, then the browser will go to the right place to load that document. Yeah. The second case, different directory, different. All right. My dir, yeah. So if a different, we need to go to that directory first. Okay. But this directory and the current document should under the same parent directory. Okay. Yeah. On the same parent directory, then you can specify my dir, then the file name. Yeah. But if it's a different parent directories, in that case, you need to have some Unix background. Yeah, I don't know if you have learned that Unix course or not. Okay. You need to have that Unix background. In Unix, how do you access files in different directory? Yeah, remember? Okay. If you want to refer to the current directory, dot refer to the current directory, right? Dot the parent directory, right? So you can go to your parent directory, parent of the parent directory, right? Then other directories, okay? dir1, dir2, Anyway, the Unix way. If you have not learned that Unix class 2750, yeah. So this part you may not have the knowledge for the complex way to get the right document. Yeah. All right, but that part may not be that important. So we just use these two cases. Yeah. Right now. Yeah. Later, if we use more complicated case, then I will explain that complex situation when we need it. Yeah. All right, so that's this topic. The next topic, another important HTML element, HTML lists. We need to arrange some elements in this HTML lists. There are two types of lists. The first type, unordered lists. Unordered, there is no order number, just item, first, second, third, in the natural order, but there is no specific order numbers. How to do it? Start with the UL tag, unordered list. So UL tag. For each item, LI tag list, right? So LI tag for each item. Okay. Yeah, so the appearance for that kind of tag element, bullets. So each list item, you see a bullet in front of it. Yeah. Look at this example. Yeah. Unordered list. Inside it, you specify item by item. There are 3 items. Each item, you use a LI tag to, around that content. Yeah. So what do you see the result? The bullet. Yeah. Using the bullets. No order numbers, bullets. Yeah. That's the first type. Second type, order list. Sometimes we need those order numbers. Yeah. So we can do that. The only difference is we change UL to OL. That's simple. The structure exactly the same, only change 1 character in the list tag. Yeah. Yeah. With numbers by default. Yeah. But regarding the numbers, there are several different cases. The first one, so let's look at the default case. The default case. Yeah. You will see 1, 2, 3 order numbers. And you do not need to specify anything for your ordered list. Yeah. All right. One thing pointed out, the UL and OL elements are block elements. Yeah. Now you know that's the reason why I started with the explanation on block elements and inline elements. Now you know the behavior of UL and OL elements, block elements. Okay? Yeah. So when you design, when you rearrange the components of your web pages, you know the expected result when you use these 2 types of list elements. Now, next, more on lists. Yeah, we have a little more variations for the lists. So let's look at the order list of various types. There are several different types. Yeah. The first one, number with uppercase characters. Yeah. Sometimes we want to use capital A, B, C, D to mark the items, right? Yeah, like this. So here, what do you need to do? Use the type attribute. Type equals double quotes, capital A. So you start from that A, B, C, D, capital A. Yeah. What do you see like this? Yeah. So very simple. Yeah. Similarly, for lowercase, you just use the lowercase a. So then you get a little ABC. Yeah. Very easy, straightforward. Yeah. Another one, sometimes you may like to use Roman numbers. You also have uppercase, lowercase situations. Yeah. Type, capital I. That's the uppercase Roman numbers, like this. Okay. By the analogy, the lowercase Roman numbers, we can do like this. Yeah. All right. The last one, there is another situation we may need to use. Okay. When we use ordered list, by default, we start from 1, 2, 3, right? But sometimes you may not like to start from 1. So you can specify start from that particular number. Start from 5. Okay? Then you would start from 5. Yeah. That situation, so you can imagine you may need it. Yeah. For example, because you display your documents in multiple pages or multiple places. Sometimes one place you already have 5 items. Then you go to the next place, you want to display the remaining items, but you don't want to start from one. You already displayed 5 items before. You want to start from 6. So you may have that situation, right? Yeah. For example, in your page, you want to split into 2 halves, the left half and the right half. The left half, you already placed 5 items. So the right half, you want to start from item number 6, not number 1. Right? In this case, you can use this start attribute. Okay? Yeah. All right, so we complete this. Yeah, this also works for letters and Roman numbers. Letters, you can also start from somewhere in the middle. Yeah. Roman numbers, same idea. Yeah. All right. Our next topic, another big element we need to learn, HTML tables. This is a big one, really important one. Yeah. So let's study this element. Yeah. We use HTML tables to arrange data in an organized way. So how do we organize? In tables, we organize by rows and columns. Tabular data, right? Rows, columns, right? Yeah. So we use this element to do it. So let's look at the details using this element. Here we use table, the tag name, the full name, table. Not like image. Image, we do not use the full name of the image, right? Full word, part of it, img. Here we use the whole name of that word, table. Table, yeah. All right. Let me show you one example first. One table example. This is a table example. Okay? The table element, tag, around it, inside it, we need to organize our data in rows and columns. So rows first. Okay? Rows first. Row by row. Okay? In each row, then we specify column. Column 1, 2, 3, 4. Like that. Okay. Each table row is defined with a TR tag. See, TR tag, a pair of TR tag. Okay, table row, right? TR, table row, right? Yeah. Each row we use a TR element to represent one row. Okay, all right. Then each table header. So there is a special thing we need to represent. Table header defined as the TH. Okay. So this is the TH, table header, the header part. We want to make it special, comparing with other table cells. The header part special. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. How special? Look at the header part. Boldface. Okay. The look, default look, different. Yeah. Boldface. Yeah. Other non-header cells, not in boldface. Yeah. So that's the TH. Then TD. So what's the TD? Yeah. Table data / cell is defined with a TD tag. So data. Yeah. That D comes from the data. Table data. Right? We know it means the cell. One cell. It corresponds to one cell. Right? So one cell corresponds to one column. Yeah. Column 1, column 2, column 3. Okay, so you see column 1, column 2, and the column 3. Right? Yeah. 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 All right. So that kind of arrangement, pretty straightforward, but you need to, in your mind, arrange based on that structure. Rows, columns, make sure you follow that structure. Yeah. All right. Properties. Yeah. By default, the text in TH, boldface and centered. Yeah. So here, what's the centered? Yeah. Because one cell, sometimes you can have more space, but your word does not use all the space. So then your word is placed at the center part, centered. Yeah. By default, you can change if you want. Yeah. For TD elements, by default, regular, no boldface, and a left align. So for TD case, left aligned, not centered, you push to the left, left aligned, not right aligned, center aligned, left aligned. The TD elements are the data containers of the table. Each TD, right? So this one cell, you can treat it as a container. If it's a container, you can place other elements in this container. That means you can put many different GUI components, GUI, graphical user interface, GUI, okay? GUI, okay? GUI components. So what's that? Button, list, drop down list, right? Radio button, all those different GUI components. So you can, using some special way, to arrange them inside one cell even. So it's a container. So this property is very useful, because sometimes we may like to use a table to arrange different GUI components. All right. Next, the last slide of this video. I want to show you some more special properties. HTML table with spanning cells. The cells, some cells can span to occupy more space. Spanning cells. All right. Two cases. The first case, cell that span many columns, multiple columns. Okay? How to do it? To make a cell span more than one column, use this special attribute. Call span, C-O-L, call span attribute. So let me show you one example. In this example, we do the usual arrangement for rows, columns, but one place is special. In this cell, table header cell, this one, call span 2. Okay. This cell needs to occupy 2 columns. Call span, column-wise, 2 columns. Now you see the result. Okay. So this one spans 2 columns. Sometimes we need it, right? So the telephone, because we have 2 telephone numbers, both should under the same header, Yeah, same head part. Yeah. All right. A similar case, span many rows, multiple rows. That's the case. We use the row span attribute. Yeah. The example, similar. Yeah. This time we have this cell span 2 rows. Okay, 2 rows. Okay, yeah. Yeah. All right, so you can see, yeah. The first row, the second row. 2 rows, yeah. So all the 2 rows occupied by this one cell. All right. So then the remaining still using that one. Yeah. So here, when you use these 2 spanning ways, you need to try to imagine the logic. Okay. So first, when you start, you assume certain number of rows, certain number of columns. Then you can consider, at one particular location, you need to occupy multiple rows or multiple columns or multiple rows. Yeah. So you can draw on your paper, right? You can draw on your paper. So when you start, so you have 2 rows, 3 columns, like this. Okay? But now you modify it. You modify your design. Oh, you see, this cell, this particular cell, it needs to occupy 2 columns. All right, so now you cover 2 columns. So you get the idea, okay? Similarly, here, you can do the same thing, okay? So if it's hard to imagine, right? If it's very hard to imagine, so you draw on a piece of paper, try to fix the explicit structure. All right, so we finish this video.